It's 7:30 in the evening. That is the BikeRadar office behind us in Bristol, but we're going to try and get to an important meeting in London tomorrow morning.
Our glorious sponsors Bell have set us the challenge to test out their new helmet, which we're wearing, their Formula LED. It's got an integrated rear light, which at full burn will last about 2.5 hours at 23.5 lumens. However, since we have about 8 hours of riding in the night ahead of us, we're going to set it to pulse mode, which at 10 lumens will last about 10 hours. So it's going to be tight.
So I filled up on Pringles, and as Reuben is now vegan, he's just got loads of bananas. We better get cracking. How do you feel about riding to London?
Oh, a bit. It's a long way. It's a long time to spend on a bike.
So a bit more about that route. Reuben planned us a fairly direct route of 240 kilometres, taking in mostly quiet and chilled out roads until we got into the outskirts of London. We were hoping it was going to take around 8 hours, but obviously that depended how tired and fatigued we got throughout the night.
Leading up to the ride, we were pretty optimistic that the weather was going to hold out. There was no rain forecast, and as such, we planned for no rain forecast. And you'll find out how much of an error that was in a minute. Classic bike path this is. Don't feel too bad because I've had a lot of rest today. We usually do our big rides in the mornings. We've had to wait till 7:30 at night to go out on the bike for potentially 10 hours. So it sort of plays with your head a bit. But excited to try such long nighttime riding.
This weather's good, in shorts in a minute, but that'll probably change later. We're just on the Bristol bike path at the minute, but we should be on more open roads soon. It's 26k in.
Yeah, we've got about 190 to go. It's okay so far.
Nice and warm.
Although a bit cold in the tunnels.
We've already gone too fast. We've already had a max heart rate of 193 BPM. 1 hour in. First route transgression.
We're trying to find our support crew.
At the Hope and Anchor pub.
Yeah.
For pints.
But we're going that way.
Back.
There, that way.
First feed stop, what you gone for?
Pumpkin falafel. So I can only eat plants at the moment.
So posh. Chocolate rice cake.
Dark chocolate, I can eat that. The nutrition aspect of it was something that I was genuinely a little bit anxious about. We usually do rides so we can basically stuff our faces with all the foods that we don't need to feel guilty about. But for this ride, I didn't have that luxury. Joe still did.
You had to think about it a bit.
Yeah, I definitely had to think about it. I don't really like thinking about food.
Me being not vegan meant I could just eat what I wanted, which was basically a lot of junk food and a few sandwiches and stuff like that. We're at 23 miles in.
Yeah.
Morale's good, but we're starting to feel a few spots of rain now.
Yeah, the dreaded raindrops that weren't on the cards, they weren't on the forecast, so hopefully they'll just a light drizzle and they'll pass pretty fast.
And we're proper in proper darkness now.
There's not many climbs on this, but this is the biggest. Just come out of Freshford and we're heading up, out over towards the east.
Tailwind all the way.
Tailwind all the way. We're off. No more bike paths though, so got traffic to contend with. Once off the bike path, our average speed increased as we rode through Bradford upon Avon, Melksham and then Devizes. During this 3-hour period, we averaged just over 30 kilometres per hour, riding on well-surfaced roads, and we were pretty happy with our progress. Just through Devizes, haven't got a mechanical, but just a tightening of the pedals.
Bit creaky.
4.5k. Actually a pretty good average pace so far.
Reuben's come all this way for the Crop Circle Exhibition Centre. Oh, it's pissing it down now. Carry on.
Yeah. It's just before midnight. As you can see, we've got our rain jackets on, which means it's raining. We're about 80k in. Maybe we stopped a bit too long just now.
So. Yeah, my legs have gone to sleep. We're used to long rides, and this is usually the point where it gets quite tough, isn't it? Your morale's high when the weather's good and stuff like that, but then when it's sort of, we're not even halfway yet, and you're a bit cold and damp, and it's the middle of the night, and there's bugs flying around your face, yeah, this is the point when it's going to kind of test us a bit, I think.
I can feel my feet getting a bit wet, which is never fun.
We both forgot overshoes. We were very optimistic, I think. Thankfully, the rain did ease as we took to the quieter back roads.
Though we didn't ask them to, our producer and videographer, who were following in the car behind, helpfully put on the full beams during the back roads just to give us a bit more visibility.
About 1 in the morning, how much you done? About 105k. Just got off a load of quiet country roads, which are quite difficult, I thought, in the dark. Kind of now it's rained a bit, they're a bit dicey, weren't they? So it's nice to go on some more, not main roads, but just smoother roads now. How you feeling?
Feeling okay. I think the motivation's still there. Just getting quite tired.
1:30 in the morning now.
Still got probably four or 5 hours to go.
Bike holding up alright?
The rain has washed most of the lube away, so it's getting a bit grindy. Shifting's a bit slow, but it's all still working.
Light's still running?
Right, light's still running.
Pounding away. How's the morale?
Morale's okay. Just doing a bit of route finding, more for my own benefit, to see how far we've come rather than how far we've got left. But we are just outside Newbury, so we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're pretty much halfway.
So if you can see it, hitched a ride when we laid the bike down, a little snail. Where shall I? Hey mate. What a guy.
Going back into the dark.
Now! At this point, we decided to put the cameras away so we could push on through the early hours of the morning. On a scale of 1 to 10, no. On a scale of 1 to a billion, how glad are you that that weird canal bit is over?
There's a time and a place for gravel. Like, I love gravel, but not at 4 o'clock in the morning, 100 miles into a road ride.
But no punches. Hooray! I don't think we can do piece of cameras moving anymore, can we? I think we're both a bit knackered. I can't take my hands off the bars or anything like that.
We've got maybe 35, 40 to go, depending on the route. I can't quite remember.
Mental arithmetic.
Brain's frazzled. Well, both our brains are frazzled, and we're riding into the morning now. It's a better feeling than knowing we're just riding through the night.
Don't think we've got much more to say than that.
So we've ridden a lot together. I think this is the first time we've done an overnight ride through the night. How would you rate it?
Well, there's some high points and low points for me. High points was definitely, I think, after about an hour of riding, when we hit some nice, fast open roads. We had a tailwind, we were humming along. I think we averaged like 21 miles an hour for a while, didn't we? That was really nice. And we thought we were making good progress and we're high on life. Then obviously it rained, that was a bit of a low point, and we were on those kind of dark roads where it's quite hard to see. And with the wet weather and the sleep deprivation, that was quite difficult. But then the petrol station stop, I'm not sure what time that was, 4:30?
4:30 in the morning, because I took an Instagram.
4:30 in the morning petrol station stop where I had a nice coffee, some crisps I think, and some sandwiches. That was really good, a good boost for morale.
We're blissed out.
For finding a petrol station, which is real good.
Yeah, absolutely no one around, so very happy.
Great.
So,
real good time.
the thing I liked about the petrol station, it was the brightest thing we'd seen for about 7 or 8 hours, so it's quite good for morale. Just having that sort of tunnel vision of darkness definitely sort of plays with your mind a bit. Felix in his natural habitat. You were seeing things at some points and...
Saw some eyes running into that bush. I think I saw like a, I think it was like a bollard, and it looked to me like a fox standing on its hind legs like that. It was like a kind of a bollard with like an orange top, yeah, and that looked to me like a fox standing up on its legs. That was a good hallucination. Probably the final long stop.
Yeah.
Nice at the petrol station.
Yeah, it was actually.
Saw you out.
Yeah, nice sugary hit. Feels like we're firmly in commute belt territory, so it feels like London's not too far away now.
Probably another 2 hours of riding left, we think.
Yeah.
All being well. Right, better get concentrating anyway. Bye. One more high point for me, when you are humming along on those quiet roads in the middle of the night and it is dry and you can have the lights on full. It's just a nice kind of feeling of solitude with no cars around, and you just concentrate on that beam up ahead, making good progress. That was really good fun. Low points for you?
Forgetting overshoes. I wouldn't say we were underprepared, but maybe not as well prepared as we should have been. So I think optimism got the better of us. It was that really torrential rain that just didn't stop when we were about 30 miles out. It took some mental fortitude to get over those last climbs to Woking.
Really raining now, very depressing. By this point, the rain was pretty much relentless. We pushed on towards Woking with cold and heavy legs over the final few climbs, but I think despite our earlier optimism, the heavens had really opened up and we were really struggling.
And that sadly was about as far as we got. We didn't actually make it to the offices, and I think we're about 25 miles short. So still a pretty good chunk of distance to go, but...
Yeah, that was, I think, at the time, very disappointing for both of us. Basically, the rain was incredibly heavy by that point. We were very tired, lots of surface water on the road. It was coming into prime commuter territory on the outskirts of London, so a lot of busy cars rushing around. And the producer decided that the shoot had to be stopped for safety reasons. For about a minute, you're pretty pissed off about that, but then after then you soon realise, nothing's worth, getting injured for or hurting yourself really badly for.
Yeah, I think you were probably a bit more visibly annoyed than I was, but we were both just absolutely soaked through. It was, I don't know, in hindsight, it's probably the right decision, but...
Yeah, it was still a 200k ride, but riding 200 kilometres and then having to stop with 25 to go was a bit disappointing at the time, but in hindsight, definitely the right decision.
But on the plus side, we did find a sanctuary under the Golden Arches, although my breakfast was a bit disappointing. I think yours was a little bit nicer.
Much better, yeah. I was very, very, very pleased with my breakfast at probably 8 or 9 in the morning.
Yeah.
After no sleep. It was delicious. Bacon, egg McMuffin, hash brown, bagel jam. See how rotted is your mind from not sleeping for 24 hours?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know, it's like...
Pretty rotted.
Yeah, it must be pretty rotted.
But it was still a pretty epic ride. We've got some numbers for you here. I've had to write them on a phone because I can't remember them. So the overall distance was 200 kilometres. Average speed was 27.2 kilometres an hour. Just over 1,500 metres of climbing. I burnt 4,855 calories. It's quite a lot of McDonald's. A normalised power of 209 watts, and I weighed about 64 kilos at the time. And a max heart rate of 193 BPM, which we hit in the first hour or so of riding when we were both quite keen. How do you think you would have gotten if you'd done it solo?
I think I probably would have got, I think I could have got to the 200k mark at least, but I think riding with you, with a friend, makes it a lot easier, even though there were times where we didn't talk much, just sort of head down and riding. Just to talk to someone about inane things occasionally just helps break it up, basically. And if you are planning a big ride like this, definitely get at least one mate to come along with you. Otherwise, yeah, you're in for an experience.
Well, yeah.
Very good time.
And what do you think to the Formula LED helmet, supplied by our sponsors Bell?
It outlasted us, so you can't really say much more than that. For this challenge, it passed with flying colours.
So there you have it. Riding from Bristol to London overnight is definitely type 2 kind of fun. If you've got any advice, tips or questions about riding overnight, let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like or subscribe. See you later.